Heritage Report. My name is Karl Simon Peter Juul. I was born in Greenwich, Connecticut in 2009. The name Karl is for a grandfather on my father's side. The name Simon is for a great-grandfather on my mother's side. The name Peter is for Saint Peter the Apostle and the first pope. Juul is the American spelling of the Scandinavian word Juul. It's the same word as the English word Yule, which means Christmas time. Yule in Scandinavian countries was a winter celebration held after the autumn farm work was done. This is me. This is my sister Bridget. This is my sister Anna. This is my little sister Lizzie. This is my little brother Nathan. These are my parents. These are my grandparents on my mother's side. These are my great-grandparents on my grandma's side. These are my great-grandparents on my grandpa's side. These are my grandparents on my father's side. These are my great-grandparents on my grandma's side. These are my great-grandparents on my grandpa's side. Where we live. We've lived in the United States. We have lived in Norway. We have lived in Sweden. We have lived in England. We have also lived in Poland. John Pierpont came from England to Boston, Massachusetts in 1640. In the 1600s, it would have taken 10 weeks to get from England to America by boat. John may have traveled on a ship similar to the Arvella. It's an English ship which carried colonists from England to Massachusetts Bay Area around 1640. Reverend James Pierpont is my great-grandmother's great-grandfather's great-grandfather's father. We'll talk about him later. Maria Jansen came from Sweden to Ellis Island, New York in 1893. Johann Peterson came from Sweden to Ellis Island, New York in 1894. Adolf Juul came from Norway to New York in 1900. Turin Juul came from Norway to New York in 1910. In the early 1900s, it would have taken around 6 weeks to get from Sweden or Norway to America by boat. Maria, Johann, Adolf, and Turin may have traveled on a ship similar to the SS American. Karl Peterson is the son of Maria Jansen and Johann Peterson, and Karl Peterson is my great-grandfather. William Juul Sr. is my great-grandfather. He is the son of Adolf Juul and Turin Juul. Jolanta Juul came to New York from Poland in 1999. In the 1990s, it would have taken around 10 hours to fly from Warsaw, Poland to New York. When Mom traveled to come to America, she may have been in a plane similar to an Airbus A330. Me. Before Mom moved to America, she lived in Przemysl, Poland. Przemysl is located in the southeast of Poland near Ukraine. My dad grew up in Cheshire, Connecticut. Cheshire is near New Haven and it's about 2 hours north of New York City. Our family lived in Connecticut and New York until we moved to California in 2013. This is a picture of our house in South Salem, New York. South Salem is about 1 hour north of New York City. We lived in California since 2013. My little brother Nathan was born in Los Gatos in 2014. Interesting characters. Reverend James Pierpont was born in Roxbury, which is near Boston, Massachusetts, in 1659. James' father, John Pierpont, was born in London and came to colonial New England around 1640. In 1701, James secured the charter for the Collegiate School of Connecticut, which moved to New Haven, Connecticut, and was renamed Yale around 1718. My great-grandmother's great-grandfather's great-grandfather's father was one of the founders of Yale University. James Lord Pierpont was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1822. James is a grandson of Reverend James Pierpont. James wrote the Christmas song Jingle Bells. It was published in 1857. In 1849, James Pierpont left his wife and children with his father in Massachusetts to open a business in San Francisco during the California Gold Rush. He also worked as a photographer. His business failed after his goods were burned in a fire. Kazimierz Gorniak was born in Poland in the early 1900s. Kazimierz is my mother's grandfather. Kazimierz was a Polish soldier and a veteran of both World War I and World War II. He had the honor of placing the Polish flag on top of Reichstag building, German Parliament building, after World War II. My grandfather, William S. Juul, Jr., served in the United States Coast Guard from September 1959 to March 1965. Grandpa's assignments: Search and Rescue, New London, Connecticut. Icebreaker West Wind, pictured, New York. Electronics School, Groton, Connecticut. Weather Cutter Spencer, Atlantic Ocean. Cryptographic School, Portsmouth, Virginia. Traditions. Vigilia is a Polish Christmas tradition. It's a Christmas Eve dinner that excludes meat and has 12 distinct dishes in memory of the 12 apostles. Everyone exchanges pieces of special bread called a płatki and wishes. An extra place is set at the table for an uninvited guest. Smorgasbord is a Swedish Christmas tradition. A traditional smorgasbord starts with cold fish dishes, followed with other cold dishes, then hot dishes, and finally dessert. Bread, butter, and cheese are always included. My dad's family had this kind of crisp bread at smorgasbords. This is the end of my heritage report. Thank you for listening.